Thank you, Jan, and thanks, Jose, and the India Advantage Summit for having me here. Yeah, all right, thank you. So I'm Naveen Kamat. I lead up the data and AI practice globally for our clients for Kyndryl. Kyndryl, as Jan just mentioned a while back, is a spin-off from IBM. We were spun off last year around November timeframe. So this was the managed infrastructure services part of IBM. Am I audible? So we were spun off from IBM last year, and this is a 90,000 strong entity. It's an independent entity now. We have around 4,600 clients, and across 6 different practices that we are now focused on and engaging with clients, including enterprise and core, the cloud practice, network and edge, resiliency and security, digital workplace services, and then applications, data and AI. Right. And within applications, data and AI, we're particularly focusing around app modernization, managed apps. We're looking at data and AI in the context of how can we help modernize the architecture for our clients, the data architecture, helping them move on to more modern cloud data platforms, looking at how can we manage the data platforms for our clients, and also providing the best of breed AI, machine learning expertise, bring in deep learning expertise for helping our clients build their AI solutions. Right. All right, let me take the clicker here. All right, now coming to the ESG part of it, right? Now ESG essentially see this as a data challenge. Why so? Because you think about it, there is a lot of, as enterprises look at ESG, there is a lot of challenges around how do you even start instrumenting your ESG metrics, how do you define your ESG metrics, how do you monitor them, and a lot of the ESG data is in silos, right? It's not really integrated with your enterprise data at this point. Your corporate reporting cycles could be very different from your financial reporting cycles. A lot of this data is required in real time. If you think about banks, if you think about financial institutions, they're really looking at using ESG data for risk assessment, for portfolio management, and all of that. A lot of this is really needed in real time. So how do you overcome this data challenge, right? One of the things that we're looking at is how can we help our clients, organize all of this data, right? Collect all of this data, bring it into a place where it can be made consumable. Doesn't necessarily have to be a data lake or a federated kind of a solution. You could have different ways to integrate all of this data. You could use data virtualization solutions. You could use various replication solutions. But basically being able to bring all of this data to a place where it can be made consumable, organize it, bring in a governance layer around all of this data, synthesize it for downstream consumption. Now, also, if you think about it, there's innumerable amount of use cases around ESG. Right? Some of the areas that we are engaged with, I think Srijit talked about it a while back, which is around green data centers. Right? So we're engaging with our clients around green data center solutions. How can we help our clients, with managing their data centers better, optimizing their energy spends, things like PUE. PUE is a metric that's used in data centers. It's called the power usage effectiveness. How can we actually help our clients manage their PUE and optimize their PUE so they can actually, run their data centers in a more greener and a more optimized manner. And so also this extends to building management systems, right? It's not only about the data center, it's also about your entire, operation as an enterprise. We are engaging with electric vehicle companies around battery, remaining useful lifetime. I think that's a very key metric for electric vehicles. So we're kind of helping them monitor, manage RUL for batteries. So I think that's another use case that we're currently engaged with. Maximizing yield in agriculture, right? This is another use case that we are engaged with clients based on the soil quality, based on various different metrics. How can we help agri-tech companies, have solutions around maximizing yield, how can we help the farming community with maximizing throughput, and all of that. Then around scrap reduction, right, in manufacturing. This is a huge, huge use case, right? When you think about Industry 4.0, it's really about how do you help reduce the losses through your production processes, right? Begins with visual quality inspection, how can you detect using AI and ML defective parts early, so there's not a lot of scrap, there's not a lot of wastage. How do you improve the operational equipment efficiencies even, so you can maximize throughput in a manufacturing line while reducing your carbon footprint, right? So that's another use case. And then there's various other use cases. I won't go through all of this, but we're looking at, we're engaging with some entities around deforestation, using drone and AI technologies, for mining kind of use cases. We also worked with a chemicals company around worker safety, right? When we say worker safety, it's about how do you use AI data to look at whether employees are in hazardous zones, right, within a chemical plant. So that was another very interesting use cases based on, again, radio feeds coming in from these, enterprise 5G kind of devices. I already touched upon financial risk management, portfolio management, and some of that. I think that's a huge play in terms of how you can bring in AI to look at all of the ESG data, look at the CSR reports of companies, scrape through all of that data and being able to generate a risk score that can be then used by financial companies, by asset managers and some of that, right? So very interesting use cases that are coming up in this space. And Nandan yesterday talked quite expansively about how digitization is, changing the landscape in India, right? He talked about UPI, he talked about, the FASTag, he talked about, the entire Aadhaar, how Aadhaar changed the landscape for India, right? And digital KYC as well is one of those, I think, use cases in terms of how banking is really evolving in this country. So talking about all of these use cases, we're engaged with a lot of clients, we're engaging with a lot of clients in this space, but we're also walking the talk in terms of our own data centers. So we are close to around 260 data centers in 50 countries. And using, again, AI and ML, what we have done is we have looked at all these different feeds that come in from your chillers, your cracks, your various cooling systems, looking at various telemetry from servers, storage data, and all of that. And basically, we have kind of provided very specific recommendations on how you can have your aisle placement within the data centers, how can you manage your data center more optimally, so you can actually reduce your energy spend, right? And we have gotten to close to around $4.2 million in savings, which is almost like 35,000 megawatt hours, right? Which is very significant reduction. And part of it is the AI ML capabilities that we have used in our own, sort of data centers. But also we have kind of looked at, doing virtualization, consolidation of all of these servers, bringing some of our workloads onto cloud. So that way we are able to, run our data centers in a far, far, far more, optimal way. And going one step further, we have actually introduced solar arrays in a lot of our, at least a few of our data centers globally, right? So two of the locations in Belgium, where we have introduced solar arrays, bringing about almost close to around 2,800 megawatt hours of savings of solar power that we've actually used to power up those data centers. And a third on-site solar array in Boulder, Colorado, where we're using the solar panels to generate around 5,700 megawatt hours of solar power. Right, so this is actually going beyond just looking at how can we reduce our energy footprint within the data centers that we have today. And these solutions are what we are also taking to our clients. We are also engaging with our clients in this space. So as much as we are leveraging them internally within our own shop, how do we sort of engage with clients in this space? And lastly, I think what we have created is something called a data and AI cafe within Kyndryl, where we are basically bringing in the entire ecosystem, whether it's our clients, whether it's our partners, whether it is engaging with academia. I think it was a great talk by the principal of the RV College yesterday, Professor Subramania, who talked about how RV as an academic institution is engaging in a lot of these different sustainability initiatives. So we're engaging with academia in multiple ways in terms of how do we bring the best of talent, best of minds to co-create in this space and engage early in what we can do from a sustainability standpoint. And also engaging with social startups, we are looking at co-opting the startup ecosystem and how do we contribute to good tech and make this possible together. Right? I really like to think about sustainability at this point as like this big elephant that each of us is probably touching and thinking or from our own lens, right? From our own lens, we are looking at touching a part of the elephant and saying this is what probably sustainability means for us, which is all good. But I think when we come together as an ecosystem and look at this elephant as a whole, sustainability as an agenda, I think there's so much more co-creation, there's so much more impact, a grander impact that we can have together. So looking forward to collaborate and looking forward to co-create as we sort of set about achieving greater impact around this whole sustainability agenda. Thank you.